Hey everyone, it's Andrew here from Canhammer, and this is our first episode back for Season 3 of our Streets of Gotham series. This one I'm going to review the big news that happened over, I guess, the end of the summer was Night Models announcing 2nd edition. Now, up until today, and it's Wednesday, just before I'm going to release this video, basically every weekday they've been putting out a teaser or some sort of like tidbit of some of the changes coming from 2nd edition, and some of it looks pretty cool. There's some pretty big changes so far that they've sort of hinted at and leaked out. Models going to resin, the game changing over to inches instead of centimeters, some of the traits being reworked, and just how the crew compositions are. So we're gonna go into that, and I'll show you some of the new models that they're coming out with, give you some of my thoughts about that, and we'll go from there. So see you in a few seconds. Alright, so here it is. The first teaser that Night Models put out was a picture of this pretty sweet looking new Bane model. One of the things they've been talking about is how they're switching the whole game system over to resin miniatures, and this is an example of, I guess, the quality of models they can put out now. It is a little bit of a different stylistic approach. It doesn't fit, I don't think, exactly with the way some of the other releases have been, but I do dig this. It's a little bit more of like the comic book style, and it'll be nice to be getting this model and whatever stuff comes out with him, because over the summer I did start up Bane, so this will be a cool addition to whatever I already have. It's cool too, a lot of their teasers and sort of the, I guess, the setup for their website now is this white background with the blue borders. So I believe they're taking a cue from, if you follow the comic books, DC Rebirth. All of their books are done in this style now, so it's a cool tie-in with what DC Comics is actually doing with the comic books. From that, let's get into some more of the models that they're going to release. Alright, so at the same time as showing off the Bane, they also showed off this picture that I shamelessly picked up off of their Facebook page. So this is showing the way that I guess we'll be receiving models from now on. This looks like it's a resculpt of the first Arkham City Batman. I think it was Arkham City. Anyways, and he's a one piece now. All the crews are going to be color coded, so it is resin, so you know, a lighter medium for making models, and hopefully less resistant to chipping, and you know, better if it falls off your table. So I guess all the Batman miniatures will be in this blue color. They've shown off some of the unpainted Joker stuff, and it's in purple, and it'll be all resin now, so hopefully this means also the miniatures will be just a slight bit cheaper. And according to people who've received the Grodd models, Gorilla Grodd, those resin sculpts are actually really nice. So it's not like GW's Finecast that had all the problems with quality. It looks like this is just a better medium in general for Night Models to be working with. And hopefully some of the problems, at least that I've had with some of my metal models, where things weren't cast properly, or the joints where like an arm or something was supposed to go wasn't the best for getting put together. This is going to be a lot easier to work with if there is those sort of weird issues, because, you know, cutting a metal model takes a lot of work and filing and filling with gaps, whereas resin, you can make nicer cuts with just like a X-Acto knife. So looking forward to this. I dig the changes. I like the new sculpts. They look really crisp, and if these pictures that Night Models are releasing is like final product, so this will be like what we'll be getting, it looks like this is just a really good way to go for the company. And here is a sneak peek of one of the new 4-packs coming out with the release of the new edition of Rules, and it is Arkham Asylum Joker. So, being a big Joker fan myself, and I think I own most of the Joker models that have been released so far, I'm really stoked to see this. I know a lot of people aren't, because look, more Jokers get more stuff, but I'm happy about it, so whatever. And again, this is just showing off, I guess, the quality of the new resin and just the things they're able to accomplish with this medium. it is a little different than sort of what we've seen before from the Joker. So these guys look more like crazy street thugs and a ringmaster type person from the circus. But I think given like the proper paint job and everything, these will look just fine alongside all your old models. And it's nice to see, I guess, certain things getting updated. So I will show you the rule card for the Joker, as they have leaked that as well, in a few seconds at least. And it looks like this is more of an update for the current Arkham City Joker. I think most of the rules are almost exactly the same, with a few tweaks to take into account the changes that they're making to the actual rules for the game. It's not quite known yet if some of the older models will be phased out in favor of these new ones. A lot of the stuff on their website has been moved over to the Arkham Legends range. So possibly as they sell off all the metal models, will just be with the resin ones as well, which is a more updated version, I guess, of the current models that are out there. So this Joker is basically Arkham City Joker with, I think, 1 or 2 rules changes, which I'll outline in a second. They haven't released the rules for the Batman we just saw, so I'm interested to see if he's a direct replacement for our current Batman, Arkham City, or if this is a completely different model with just a really nice sculpt. But with that, let's check out the new crew cards, and we'll talk about some of the changes that they're making there. Alright, so here's the new cards that we'll be getting with the crews and all of our models. They have changed the format of them quite substantially, and they have confirmed that they will be resized down to a typical sort of gaming card size. So I think it's 2.5 by 3.5 inches. I was a little, I guess, upset with the change at first, but after I've thought about it, I believe it will be a little bit easier for gameplay. Just the amount of space that your cards will take up is a lot less, and these will now be able to fit into proper card sleeves, so it'll allow people to use like dry erase on their cards to be able to show off, you know, damage and willpower allocation. There are some changes that they're making as well. So if you look at the rank box, it's a symbol now. So Joker's still leader, it's Arkham Asylum Joker, but now instead of having just like the rank leader, it's a rank symbol. So this is the leader symbol. All the crews will have an affiliate symbol. So this guy just works for the Joker crew, but I assume that like if there's a model that will work for multiple crews, they'll have multiple symbols in there. Rivals is a new thing they've introduced. So this is essentially the aversion rule. So if there's certain characters that this character cannot go with in the same crew, they'd probably be listed there. Reputation and finding, of course, is the same. Now the weapons are listed above the traits as usual. So he has his explosive teeth and poison knife, which is the exact same as before, if you compare that to the Arkham City Joker. And then if you look at the traits, there's 2 sections. So there's stuff in the box, and then there's all the stuff. One of the things Night Models have confirmed with this release is that there will be sort of like a quick start rules with dumbed down, not dumbed down, I shouldn't say that, but like more simplified rules, so people who are trying to learn the game or have like introductions can just use the stuff in the box, and that way they don't have to keep track of all these new traits when they're just trying to learn the game. And then when you're ready to play the full version of the game, which I believe most of us will be, then use all the traits listed on the card. But this is a cool way to do like demo games and get your friends into it and not have to worry about all these crazy traits. As you can see, all of his traits are there from Arkham City Joker, although he has a new one called Electric Handshake, which we're not sure what it does yet, and he's lost Poison Master. So I don't know if those are still in the game or what's going on, but this looks like the same crazy Joker that we expected from before. He still has Luck, Trickster, Chaos Agent, and the one-shot gun. If you look at the bottom, though, they have changed it so that all of his stats are listed as well. I know some people are concerned about having space to put the counters or the dice they use to mark out where his willpower has been spent. Some rumors floating around, although this has not been at all confirmed by Night Models, is that they might go to the DC system, where willpower is used up when the character activates. I don't believe this is true though, because then why have things like Trickster and Chaos Agent, unless those have had huge overhauls. But it would also mean stuff like Veteran isn't important anymore either. So I believe this is more just them trying to condense down the card. And again, there's enough room there that if you use dry erase markers on your cards, you know, this is just fine, and you'll still be able to see where all your willpower has been allocated. So with that, we'll take a look at the resins for this, and we can take a look at the new characters coming out with this as well. So here they've released the resins of some of the models coming in the Joker pack, and you can just tell from, if these are the final product, like, the detailing is super sharp on these, like especially in the face where sometimes it could be flat with the metal models. These just look great. It's a really good medium for making, you know, one-off models like this, where you don't need, like, it's not like Warhammer where you need like 20 Space Marines per squad or some crazy. So you can just really see, you know, the quality of work that's coming off of these new models, and especially with this guy here, you can see that the join where the arm goes is nice, and you know, it looks like it'll glue properly without too much work trying to get it to fit. And even then, you know, if it doesn't fit that well, it's so easy to just work with resin to make sure it all fits and goes together properly. There is some flash, like you can see on these guys, and that's just a byproduct of having to work with this type of material with making miniatures, but it's so easy to just clean that up without too much effort, and you won't tell at all. Even if there's mold lines or anything, you know, it's way easier to get them off a resin model than with you know, something that's made of pewter. So it's really nice seeing this these models in their, I guess, unfinished form. Alright, so here's one of the other characters that is going to come in this new pack, Hobo Clown. I am disappointed that he doesn't have a shotgun, but he does have a meat knife, so I guess that's okay. As you can see, his rank is, I guess, like a beanie and goggles, or like a mask, so I guess that's henchman rank. Affiliate Joker. His reputation 14. He has a meat knife that does 1 blood, sharp and heavy. He has criminal and aggressive schizophrenia, so he's basically just a little cheap throwaway dude. Strength 5+, which isn't great, but the heavy, if they don't change that, is offset with giving +1 to his damage rolls. He's only willpower 4, so he's, you know, cheap. His movement 2, attack 3, defense 2, 3 special, obviously, and endurance 4. So based on, I guess, what we know of the old rules, this guy's kind of in line with sort of like Knife Clown, Shield Clown, Pipe Clown, just like low end filler for the crew, you know, objective grabbers or people to get the swarm going. And again, he has that box, so if you do play sort of like a demo game, or you just want to play like rules light, he does have 1 special rule, but at least you don't have to keep track of everything. Other than that, you know, basic clown. I do dig the again, the new way they're doing the cards, and hopefully most of the like special traits and stuff that they usually introduce over time will have enough room to fit either like on the front of the card or on the back. But hopefully they've cleaned up a lot of those, so there won't be a huge need for having like 50 different rules, which is one of the things they have talked about, you know, trying to make this game more streamlined. So to me that means less crazy special rules. But let's check out the next guy. So the next dude is Buffoon, and he is also a henchman. He's a little bit more expensive though, reputation 22 with 200 funding. He has a nail gun, which is essentially the carbine that we've seen on some of the models. The one I'm thinking of is in the Scarecrow crew, but I do know there's another one somewhere. Anyways, so it's shooting 5, 2 ammo. Each shot does a blood. It's short range, so only 20 centimeters, which is different than the carbine. Assault 3, so as long as the rule doesn't change, that means when he moves, he can still shoot up to a rate of fire of 3. And it's mechanical, so if it's, again, the rules haven't changed, but they haven't said yet, it wounds on a 3+. He has obsessive compulsive disorder, which is not the greatest rule, at least based on, you know, first edition of the game. And he has undercover, which is a pretty sweet ability. Again, he's more of a low-end throwaway type character. He's only willpower 4, strength 5, although he has no melee attack, so to speak. His movement 2, attack 3, defense 2, special 3, of course, and endurance 4. So another one of those guys who will go down pretty quick if anyone tries to put any heat on him. But you know, it's a cool little weapon. You can run up and nail gun someone while they're you know, in close combat with someone or something. So that's cool. It's nice to see them still able to make models and make them at least different enough from everything else that's in the game. You know, there's not really a guy like this. Same with the hobo clown. You know, Meat Man, I guess, is close to what the hobo clown can do, but it's still different enough to differentiate them. And again, I dig the new look for these clowns. I like the sort of crazy Wildman look, especially the hobo clown with his big meat cleaver and crazy face mask. So again, I know some people aren't happy with the new direction that they're going with the sculpts on these guys, but I dig it. So I guess as long as I'm happy, it doesn't matter what everyone else thinks. Anyways, I guess we'll check out some actual meat and potatoes of these new rules that we've been hearing about, and Night Miles have been leaking almost daily, so let's check those out. So basically daily, Night Miles have been releasing these sort of Batman teasers. So here's one of the ones that they posted on their Facebook page, and this one talks about how they're going to change the way crews are configured. So making a crew is apparently going to stay the same, so we're going to have your boss, your sidekick, your free agent, and so forth. But they wanted to change it so more, I guess, alliances from like the comic books and the movies and stuff are easier to do and aren't constrained by sort of the way the rules currently are. You know, the free agent system is nice, but sometimes, you know, people like the Gotham City Sirens team up with other people, and they're just trying to make it more easy to do these, I guess, thematic type games. So the main one that they've outlined here is that Batman, Green Arrow, and Law Forces will now have one single crew, the Brave and the Bold. And not listed here, but in another one of their leaks, they said that they're going to be combining, well, I guess it's hinted at here, but Two-Face, Black Mask, and Organized Crime are all going to be sort of one crew as well. So they'll allow you, I guess, more leeway when you're making your crew to have, I guess, better team ups. And it kind of makes sense from, I guess, their standpoint to make things easier for new players is, you know, Batman, Green Arrow, and the Law Forces, the majority of those henchmen in those crews are exactly the same models anyway, so why not just make it that they're all one team? You know, Batman's always been broken away from some of the Green Arrow stuff, but they've teamed up in the past, as well as, you know, the Flash, New 52 Flash being in Batman and TV Flash being in Green Arrow never really made sense, and people, you know, maybe wanted to use those models in different crews, and this is just their way of allowing that to happen, as well as making, I guess, each team having less amount of teams that are basically almost the same anyways. So I dig this. It makes sense to me, and if it makes for, you know, cooler crews and different combinations, you know, why not just have everything work together? So with that, let's check out some of the other things they're going to be changing. So again, here's another leak they put out with more information on how they're changing crews. So I guess the big one here is Poison Ivy has been renamed the Gotham City Sirens crew, and this will just, I guess, from their point of view, allow for greater thematic options within the game. It'll also have So this launch, when they release the new rules and the new book, they're going to have a bunch of new starter sets for these crews. Hopefully they will all be in this new resin material, but they haven't confirmed that yet. So one will be, you know, Poison Ivy, Harley, and Catwoman. Again, this one outlines the change they made to the Organized Crime Two-Face Black Mask, and I guess LexCorp was also in there. He's a bit of a gangster, I guess, sometimes. So they're going to be one crew of just like the mobsters, which I think is pretty wicked, and I might have to dip my toe into that. You know, basically it says they're all basically mafia guys, which was kind of my take on it as well. And even with the new like organized crime releases, they already did work for Two-Face and Black Mask to begin with, so why not just have it all one crew? Makes sense to me. And also, you know, based on like the TV shows and things, certain characters might have new affiliations. So the one they outline here is Hugo Strange is able to join up with Two-Face and Falcone, and they can call in, you know, TV Penguin to help out with that stuff. One of the other things is they changed Mad Hatter's rank from leader to free agent, so he can, you know, go with a bunch of crews. Now, this does not mean that Mad Hatter still can't lead his own crew. He will retain the leader rank for like a Mad Hatter crew, so don't worry if some of you made a Mad Hatter crew and felt that this might mean he's being phased out to be a free agent. No, he's still able to lead his own crew. They have confirmed that on Facebook. This just means he also is able to join like other crews, so you can see some of the more wacky team ups from the comics. I think the one I read was, I think it was him and Riddler teamed up for some hijinks. So, you know, I guess you'll be able to do that, which again I think is cool, you know, just being able to bring fun models that you like. I'm sure people will find a way to break it and make like totally busted lists, but you know, not everyone plays like that all the time, so it will be cool to see different affiliations. So with that, let's check out some other stuff. Alright, I guess here's one of the major changes that they've talked about. So with the second edition, they will be changing from inches, or from centimeters to inches. I guess according to this, their justification is most miniature games do use inches, so it just makes sense for miniature wargamers to use inches as well instead of centimeters. I don't know if I believe that so much, but whatever. I don't dislike the change. I kind of dig it, and most, you know, like my GW tape measure has inches mostly, so, you know, whatever, I'm used to it. My guess though is it's to appeal to a North American audience that still uses the old system with the inches, and hopefully that'll help wargamers in America adopt the game better, although I don't think they would care too much either way as long as the game's good. So what that means is a lot of the ranges we're used to and movements have changed. So in this, the basic movement before was 10 centimeters, now it's going to be 4 inches. And instead of seeing 30 centimeters out, it'll see a foot. So, you know, I guess it cleans it up a bit. You're using smaller numbers, so the math is easier, because I know I suck at math and sometimes doing it on the fly with all the centimeters and dice rolling screws me up. As well, they're changing the way movement works. So instead of rolling to see how far you go by spending movement counters, you just get a straight up 2 centimeters, or sorry, 2 inches. See, I'm already fucking it up. You get an extra 2 inches. At first, again, I was a little on edge about this change because I kind of liked the way it was sort of a gamble to see how far you can go. Like, oh, I see this guy's 15 centimeters away, I can put 2 dice in movement, and hopefully I get enough to, with my basic movement plus that, to get to him to do some close combat attacks. But at the same time, I think this will quicken things a bit, as you can just measure how far you need to go and then make sure you allocate enough to do it and accomplish that thing properly. Although it will take away some of those, you know, heat of the moment key dice rolls that may or may not go off to, you know, punk that one character who doesn't have any defense dice. Not too big of a change, I guess. And at the end of the day, I think it's a nicer, more elegant system than just rolling dice. You guys might disagree, and, you know, let me know in the comments below, but, you know, I dig this, and it does mean some changes for other stuff, which they have outlined as well, so let's check those out as well. They didn't change too much, although here's two traits that they did, I guess, leak. Fast and tireless. So fast, this model gains plus to its basic movement distance, and before it was re-rolling your movement dice, so this just makes you guys a little bit quicker on the board. I am curious to see how acrobat is changed, because they, I guess, traditionally have this bonus to their movement, so we'll see what happens to them. You know, my boy Nightwing has acrobat, and hopefully he doesn't slow right down, but not a big change really, just makes those fast models, you know, that much quicker. And I guess it makes sense thematically that you wouldn't always use movement dice with fast characters all the time, so this just means that the fast trait is always going, as opposed to just when you need to for those rerolls. Tireless has changed though, and this is a big one. Once per round, the model can spend one special as if it were one movement. Now before, it allowed you to run for a special, and this hasn't been confirmed, but it's making me think that there's going to be no more running in Batman, since most models have a basic movement distance of 4 inches, and each movement counter spent adds 2. To just spend 2 movement counters is the same as doing a run, if you like, same amount of willpower cost, and you can control it better, because with running you could only run in a straight line, whereas if you just use movement counters, you can sort of use those extra distance any way you want it. So this is just making me believe that there will be no more running, as it would make no sense from a willpower spending perspective, unless running adds even extra distance to that. But this is my guess, just based on seeing this tireless rule and the way you know, they've changed how movement counters work. Again, those tireless guys though will have that much more extra stuff they can use to move further with. So, you know, if you're a movement 2 guy and you put 2 in movement, but he's tireless, so you can actually spend 3 counters as if they're in movement. That gives you an extra 6 inches of movement. You know, that's quite a good distance of the board that you'll be moving extra. So that's the changes they made to movement. Alright, and the last, I guess, movement related change they've made is by spending 1 movement counter, a model can jump in any direction as impaired movement, so it still counts as double. This is the same as before. Jumping is always measured from the model's base, and the total distance is subtracted from the remaining basic movement. Although the difference here is, I guess, you only spend the movement counter once to jump, so before you'd have to spend it each time you try to jump, I believe. Now it's just a one-time payment per activation. Again, not much of a difference here too, so if you use a leap down, the movement distance isn't impaired, you just measure from the model's base to his new position. Sometimes an obstacle will be too high to jump and will need to be climbed instead. Climbing distance are measured from the base without spending movement counters to climb, so it's not too detrimental to, you know, climb over things. So before you had to spend movement counters to climb, now it's just sort of you do it, but it is impaired. And one of the things to make crouch a little bit better is a model will stay crouched until it moves. So before you'd spend crouch and you'd just be crouched till the end of the turn, and then upon next activation you're standing up again. This time, you know, it'll stay crouched until you actually move the model, which is, I guess, cool. A way to set up for future rounds and stuff like that. Now, it says here, while it is crouched behind scenery, it gains a defensive bonus from enemy ranged attacks. My guess is we might see some changes to the way ping rolls work, if they even are still in the game. and you might just get flat like pluses to your defense instead. Again, this is just speculation on my part, so don't take that completely to heart, but just based on that one last line, that's kind of the inference I get from that. Again, I guess we'll have to wait and see until the actual game is released, or the new rules are released, before we actually have a confirmation of that. But my guess is we might see some differences in the way we do shooting attacks. So from there, I guess we'll check out one of the last leaks, and yeah, we'll go from there. Alright, so here's the, I guess, most latest leak they've done, and they are releasing these daily, so even by the time this video is released, there'll be some more leaks going up on the Night Models Facebook page. But this one just talks about the different bat armor. So before, we had 3 marks of bat armor. Again, not much has changed. It looks like they still give you essentially a saving throw. So bat armor mark 1. For every hit you suffer before the attacker takes damage rolls, roll a d6, and on a 5+, it's ignored. Same as before, although it happens in different order. So before it was when you were... Oh no, this is the same. Anyways, carrying on, bat armor mark 2. You ignore it on a 6+, but this model gains +1 to its basic movement distance. So this one is a change, although if you look at the models that have Mark 1, they were always faster Batmans anyways. They had more movement. So this just means that they're even that much more quicker. And I think the story behind that is, if you watch The Dark Knight Returns, Bruce Wayne asked Lucius to make him armor that allows him to turn his head, and Lucius said something along the lines of, "I can, but it will be less defensive." So I think this is the story of Mark 2. And that's why they get that extra bit of movement. Mark 3 though is different. So how Mark 3 worked before was, if you do a sneak attack, you're able to attack models within, I think, 3 centimeters. And now it is, you get your 5+ save, and then in addition, when this model moves, it can make close combat attacks against enemies up to 2 inches away in line of sight. Ignore all traits that improve the model's line of sight, such as total vision, blah blah blah. So this one is actually really good, and I think it's Arkham Knight Batman that has the Mark 3 stuff, which is the one I run usually, so that's pretty cool. But it's going to allow him to attack models basically within 2 inches of himself, so like a 4-inch radius around his base. Which is pretty sweet. It'll allow you to toss out a bunch of attacks, and he doesn't have to be sneak attacking when he does it, which is, I think, a big deal for, I guess, this ability. And I think it'll make Batman a little bit more viable when you do run him. I know a lot of people favor some of the other stuff in the Batman crew, like, well, at least myself, I prefer running Nightwing, but that's more of a personal preference. Sometimes people feel that Batman's a little too expensive to run. But this just makes whoever has the Mark 3 armor that much more good. So it will be nice to see that. I guess some of the other stuff Night Models has leaked that I don't actually have screenshots or pictures from their website to talk about is there will be a hardcover release of the rules, but they're also going to be releasing essentially a free PDF online of the rules. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to be the actual full rules or if it's just going to be sort of the quick start rules. But to be honest, either way is really nice. I am super stoked to have like a quick start rule set coming, because I'm not a very good teacher at this game. I can play it half decent, but I'm really bad at teaching people games because I never know when to start. So hopefully this will be a good teaching tool and allow me to convince some of my friends or some of the guys on the channel to pick this up, and we'll have more opponents to play. And just, I think, just for anyone picking up this game who hasn't played before and maybe doesn't have someone to show them, just reading the rulebook can be fairly intimidating with all like the special traits and abilities and just all the different aspects of this game. So if there is sort of like a quick start rule set that allow people to at least get the basics down and then sort of grow their understanding of the game from there is a really good thing to have coming out, and is a really good tool that I know I'll be using when I do demos and stuff at various conventions and tournaments and stuff. But with that, let me know what you guys think about this new edition coming out and all the leaks we've seen so far. And again, if you are interested in seeing more of these leaks, Night Models have been consistently for the past, I think, 2 weeks now, releasing daily information about what we can expect from second edition, either pictures of the new models we've seen or the different ways they are changing up some of the rules that we're more familiar with. And I gotta say, like, this has kind of reinvigorated me for the game, and I'm really stoked to see sort of the rest of the changes that are coming out, as well as all these new cool models that they're going to be releasing, and I can't wait to get my hands on some of this resin stuff. With that though, I guess I'll see you in 2 weeks for the next Batman video. Hopefully I'll have a bat rep for you, probably using the old rules, but you never know, maybe they'll release the quick rules early so we can try it out, but if not, I'll line up a regular game. And again, let me know what you guys think about this, and if you want to, check us out on Can't Hammer Out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and you can check out my Twitter where I post daily pictures, or not daily, but a lot of time pictures of stuff I'm working on or cool product leaks that I find. So with that, I guess we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.